Falcha. You're listening to SewBro, where we talk and sew. Today, I'm joined by singer, dancer, Katrina Manor.
Yay! Oh, you're so sweet for adding that. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, I saw the dance videos and I was like, some skill and choreography.
Yes! No, I love dancing. I actually think that was probably my first love. But dancing and singing make a baby, and it's called performing, and I love performing. So yeah.
So what came first, the singing or the dancing?
Chicken or the egg?
I think there actually is a philosophical answer.
Oh, don't get me started. It was for the jokes, for the bit. So let me giggle. What came first, singing or dancing? Dancing came naturally. I remember having rhythm from a very young age. Yeah, dancing was a vibe as a kid. I was like, yeah, that's the pocket. Like I understood pockets really well when I was younger. And I attribute that to my dad for playing jazz and blues when my mom was pregnant, her whole pregnancy. So slay, thanks, Dad. And then singing definitely came second, and not as naturally. My sister locked me in her room, my older sister, because we're 10 years apart. So she was 16 and got this, like, this is so old, but like those 90s stereos, the two speakers and like the DJ set, and she played Rihanna's Unfaithful over and over and over, and locked me in her room and said, we're gonna sing this line by line. And I was stuck there all day. Like, she's like, you can get a lunch break, but you're coming right back here. So yeah, singing definitely came not as naturally, but I found more fulfillment in using my voice than my body to communicate. But now I find fulfillment mixing the two. Because I feel more, what's the word I'm looking for? More aligned with myself and my beliefs that way. I think it's unfair if I had to pick. I couldn't pick. So yeah.
I empathize with the sort of like duality of art forms and them feeding each other. Mm-hmm. I'm fascinated by dancers because of the abstract. That it's not like a concrete word that we can define. Mm-mm. And I never like did dance for performing, but like mosh pits, and like I would spin rope dart and different props at like rave events. They would light up, and I understand that like trance of movement that you can have with yourself, where it's when you're in it with the song and you're just going about the emotions and letting whatever static charge flows through your joints.
So good. It's so good. I hate to say that it's unfair, because I believe I find dancing and singing to be healing things. Ways to heal, ways to process, ways to do a lot. I feel as though dancers tap into this energy of... I think dancing is a lot harder than singing sometimes, and vice versa in different ways, but dancers have to be so in tune with themselves to not only convey what they feel, but the story. And they're listening to music to convey that said story, that same story. And singers do it in a way where they're vulnerable with just one muscle, arguably. No, actually, I'm gonna take that back. It's not a muscle. There's only one way to sing. Like, I can't sing through my feet. You know what I mean? Like if I could, that would be so sick. But, like, you can dance in so many different ways. There's even tutting, which is really just your arms. Or even voguing. Or tap dance, where it's just your feet. Singing, it's one thing only. And you really have to be in tune everywhere. That's why I really appreciate performers like Beyonce or Nina Simone, who can incorporate both. And I think when people say performers, they always think of dancing, but it is a form of stage presence. Being in tune with yourself and being present not only with yourself but the audience is so important. But yeah, dancers are sick. Dancers are a lot cooler than they think they are, and I think that's annoying, because they're like, no, I just move my body in the coolest way, like, imaginable. And they're so chill about it, but it's like, dude, you're like an artist. You breathe and you just make movement that no one thinks about. So yeah.
the dance department at my high school thought they were heaven's gift to humankind.
Okay.
And they gave me and the other dorks and nerds cold shoulders that gave us frostbite when we had to like work on collaborative school projects. And I was like, yes, you're beautiful and the dances are good.
Right.
Right. Why the dissonance to the dorks?
No, literally. They are dorks. Dancers are dorks.
Oh, no, I'm referring to me and my
other... right.
It was like, because I was like, yeah, like, we got nothing on the beauty and the moves, but we got to get creative in our own way.
No, you're totally right. I think dancers are dorks when they accept that they're no different. I even had, like, not the best dance experience in high school. And I remember that really messing... Like, I stopped dance... After being in that environment for about 3 to 4 years, I stopped dancing until after COVID.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was in high school, like, before... I was a senior in high school when COVID happened. So, yeah. I know. I was a senior in high school when COVID happened, and so, like, once COVID was fully over, I took my first dance class. I was so nervous. I was like, they're gonna be mean to me. The girls are usually mean. And, like, there's this usually, like, form of, dancers can get really culty. And
I've seen.
Right? And, like, I think now as I've gotten older, when you're not in high school, because things get so much better when you're not in high school, it can be genre based, or style based of whatever dance you're doing, but no, I think, I wonder if I would have viewed dance differently if I wasn't on a team for 3 years, but then I wouldn't have learned everything I know now and how I carry myself if I wasn't. But I don't disagree. Dancers can be really mean and really culty, and I attribute that to... Do I know what that's about? let me fact check myself before I say that. I think there's a lot of cognitive dissonance that happens when you're a dancer. And it really is dependent on the environment that you started. Which is really, like, and I feel like the only way to describe it is if you went dancing in studios or if you were on a team. Because you kind of get what's being said. You can be told that you're the best dancer in the world and that you are boring and I hate watching you dance in the same week. Which is so unfair because your body changes every single day. You change every single day. You grow and you have moments where you don't. Especially as a lady who has cycles. Like that automatically. And to expect perfection, to expect diligence from someone who is just creating for the first time. Dance teachers are unaware the environment that they create is not one of growth. These kids are like 16. I think that's crazy. I think it's important to recognize we should be moving towards environments of growth. Studies even show that environments that have ridicule and negative self-talk never, ever give results of growth. They actually give results of stagnation, burnout, and not disillusionment, but disinterest in the thing that you do. I became not interested in dance because of my experiences. And I had to do the work. I went to therapy and talked about it. How many days I've cried in the studio by myself just figuring out what is wrong with me when it was never necessarily me, but just what people were asking for. So yeah, dancers have a lot of their own issues, in my opinion, and a lot of things that can be talked about. But it's similar to musicians where if your community and the people you work for don't care about dancers, why would you say anything? But I hope to change that because musicians are starting to say something, and I hope that we can communicate to other communities. You can be the change, but you have to change first. Yeah, there you go.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm Yeah, I can totally. I've seen in competitive spaces, sports and performance, how the cultish behavior of what you're willing to tolerate to get better, as far as like everything from like injuries to emotional abuse. And it's it's always like heartbreaking for me because I've seen this with it was like with community organizing or with art. Sometimes the people who are the most into it are the ones who make it the most unfun for everyone else.
Yeah.
And when I was pursuing music, I remember like I was trying to improve my voice, but I was like, it made me have this great appreciation for people who could sing, who did put in that work, who did know how to fluctuate their vocal cords. And realizing like, oh, someone can convey so much emotion just with an octave. And that was kind of why I gravitated towards words, because my octave range was limited, where I couldn't express just a pure emotion like someone else could through a song or through through like just abstract noises.
It sucks. It's cool to have the appreciation, but you don't need to diminish your art to appreciate someone else's. And I don't think that should be normalized. I actually think that behavior is disgusting and not fair. Then why create if we have to diminish ourselves? Yeah, I would rather we just didn't. If that's the only way that you can tell someone to be better by ridiculing them, just don't. Get rid of the team. Quit. That's like, it's so not fair. And to go back to your point, like a lot of people when they start art, they're usually children.
Yeah.
They're very young. So we're not thinking of perfection. We're thinking of, dude, but what if the spaceship wasn't even in space? It was, and like you allow your brain to go where it wants to go. And that's where the cult or the groupthink comes in, and it's very limited. It's only what we want it to be, not what you think it could be. But yeah, it's sad. I don't, again, not, my little sister is actually a competitive dancer. So, and we've had deep conversations about this as well, because we were also on the high school team together. But dancers definitely do go through, if not the same struggles mentally that I would argue singers go through. Because singers, to learn, and dancers, we have to watch. It's hard to watch and not compare. And we're not taught to watch and appreciate. Usually kids they'll be taken to Disneyland and they'll see someone sing and their dad's like, can you do better? And it's all fun, I promise, right? But when I was a kid and that happened, even though my parents were trying to be very cute and loving, it did hurt my feelings. Dang, I gotta compete with a 50-year-old with 50 years of experience and I'm 6. What do I do? You know? So yeah. You know, dancers, and they don't talk about it, and that's why I feel like it really should be talked about a lot more. I think a lot of dancers could benefit from therapy. As a dancer, recovering therapy.
I like what you said about watching to appreciate versus watching to compare.
Mm-hmm.
Because after a certain point of like 2 years into stand-up comedy, I couldn't watch stand-up specials for fun anymore. Yeah. Like, it was a bit of, the jokes didn't hit the same because I saw the like comedic thinking coming, and then also just competitiveness. Like, oh, how would I have approached that topic or that angle? Or, oh, they missed a tagline there that would have killed, and like I have to like be in the right headspace now to watch stand-up comedy and not get competitive, because most of the time when I'm watching it now, it's like I'm out at shows, I'm keeping track of other people's topics so I can do callbacks in my set, and thinking like a comedian who's playing off of the room, and turning that off when it's just time to relax is a little difficult.
Oh, it's unfair because you're no longer creating to create, you're creating for an objective. Then again, why create? Like, it sucks, as it can often go back to the same question of, then why do it if it's not gonna be fun? When I was in no, literally, like when I was in when I was in college, I took a mixing and mastering class. I took it twice with 2 different teachers, and the first time I took it, couldn't go on walks with my dog anymore and listen to music. I couldn't, like, I would be focused on the fades. I'd be like, ooh, like, what reverb, what plugin is that from? Like, it was so annoying that I would be out with my family at, like, what is it? What are those? Summer picnics, vibes. And everyone's like, Katrina, why are you so silent? And I was like, oh, I'm analyzing, like, you know, which, if there's a high pass or a low pass filter, and, like, how they did it, if they, like, automated it. And they're like, you need to, like, live. It's like, that's not fair. Like, we get it, you love music. Like, we get it, you love stand-up comedy, but who hurt you? Or you can't enjoy it without placing yourself in the person that you're supposed to be enjoying shoes.
I get that. It's why I can't watch movies with people who work in the film industry.
Really?
Because they point out all of the mistakes. Continuity error there. Collar's too big for the 40s. There. And just little stuff where like, oh, did you see the attachment there? Oh, there was a cutaway there. Like, that was the thing, is editing podcasts, I can tell down to like milliseconds when there was a cut. Like, oh, probably flubbed a line, something with a camera, there was a cut.
Do you think that changes the way that you consume? Like TikTok, Instagram? Because you're also doing it, right?
Oh yeah, and like in my high school, like, made you pick like a major that your electives would be focused around. So like mine was media, so I was learning photography, marketing, so we watched documentaries on like ad psychology, on the psychology behind font usage over the decades. And learning all of the like little tips and tricks, because my media teacher did want to give us like skills, although I was just doing it for fun, whereas other people were like actually from my class have made careers out of it. I was having fun just doing abstract stuff, coming up with my own techniques, getting real creative. And yeah, I think about that when I'm looking at like, oh, who's using the fonts that suggest them, who's going out of their way, who's angling their camera. Like, this is one TikTok thing. I can't stand when someone's having a conversation with themselves and it's just a change of camera angle. And they're like not even changing voice, but just, oh, I'm camera right. I'm a different person wearing an accessory. It's just, and also like, it's with all art forms I've dabbled in, like with poetry, of I can see who the people who are new to it and having fun with it and playing off of the stereotypes, whereas I know plenty of poets who don't ever perform. They have fun in whatever niche they're in, but they don't feel the need to share. I have a friend who writes an iambic pentameter.
Oh, just sick.
Yes, I've tried writing in his patterns. I can't. It's
not fun.
It's not fun, but it's like, oh, that's their thing that they gravitate towards. And seeing how like a lot of the best performers I know in different mediums, you're not going to see them on stage or promoting their stuff. They just love the craft and they're doing it in private. Like my stepmom, she's convinced the greatest metal band lives in this valley. They don't tour, they don't do gigs. It's just 4 friends who jam out like their lives depend on it on the weekends, and they go do their day jobs, be parents, be good husbands, and and their mentality behind it is, if any one of us were to try to pursue this seriously, it would take the fun out of it, because then it would become work. Then we would be having to juggle stuff. And I know a lot of artists who choose doing it for fun so they can keep their love of it rather than doing it for a career, which means doing gigs you don't want to do, doing stuff you don't want to do. Because I see a lot of people on like TikTok and social media where it's like, they're not classically trained performers in any sense. They're not married to any style or any structure. Like with me is, I've done stuff on TikTok where it's like, it blew up, but it didn't satisfy me. It wasn't on stage. I wasn't speaking truth to power like I wanted to. And that's enough for some people. Whereas like, I need a live audience. The views are nice, but I like connecting with a crowd or feeling that the rise and fall of a comedy room.
Right. That's so
And they're disconnected from that. I've seen the people who have the much bigger followings auditions for the comedy clubs, and a room of 5 is giving them stage fright, and it's like, hey, this is you're getting out of your comfort zone, and you're realizing it's harder to speak in front of people when it's 5 of them in person rather than 1 million through a screen.
I mean, I feel like social media has clouded our judgment a lot of what people are capable of. I do not find solace in my phone. I hope most people don't. But for some people, it really is easier just being so independent and private. And I really commend those who don't pursue their greatest desires largely, because it's supposed to be fun. And I also believe artists, creatives, let me stop it there, creatives, to achieve all of the dreams that you desire, I do not believe you have to do things you don't want to do. I disagree with that statement, because then we're perpetuating the idea that to get what you want, there has to be a moment of dislike and disdain. If you don't want to perform somewhere, bro, leave. Like, you drove, like, dip. Like, no, I'm not in a negative way, but, like, no one's gonna cry that you didn't go. What did you learn from that, and how are you going to adjust after? Like, the very first open mic of this year, I left, because the environment was not only scary, but really unsafe. And did I not go to an open mic ever since? No, that's how I met you at an open mic. Like, I've been to some after, but I learned at least 4 really crucial lessons about what it means to be a creative. And I want who I am and my beliefs to show and shine through. Like, you do not, the idea of doing things you don't want to do just for happiness is crazy to me. I think that's unfair. To be happy, you can just be happy. Like, to be happy, you don't have to be unhappy at all. So, this is very much me coming from reading a bunch of self-help books and unlocking your creativity. I actually just finished The Artist Way.
I read that my freshman year of college.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I like that you're willing to leave a show that you don't like. What mic was it? I'm curious, having been around so many mics in LA over the last 10, 15 years. Yeah, like a
House of Aura of House. It was their very first open mic, from what I gathered. It was right after the fires.
Oof.
Yeah.
And what, they have a bunch of comedians?
No.
I saw some rough comedy sets after the fire, so I'm like...
Oh, really?
From comedians, I knew where I was just like, you need to wait 2 more months for people to process this. This loose 5 is not helping anyone right now.
No, I think, yeah. A lot of people come to LA for their dreams, and I love that. Do it. As a born and bred Angelino, I support it. The people hosting events that tend to be the most insensitive about Los Angeles' issues are loud, and they don't care about the place that they came to for the dreams that they're aspiring for. And it just felt like they didn't care about the fires, and then last minute were like, it felt as though they were pushed to reschedule it. So they rescheduled it. We get there. They said signups will be as soon as we get to the studio. Yeah, we got there. I said, who do I emailed my music. They said, yeah, our emails don't work or something, and they asked us to airdrop it. I airdropped my music to 3 different people because no one knew who to airdrop it to. And some guy was like, you airdrop it to me. No, you airdrop it to me. No, I'm the DJ, airdrop it to me. And then I said, okay, well, where's the sign-up sheet? He's like, yeah, we don't have a sign-up sheet. You just tell me when you want to go on. And it was just, there was so much that there was so much in me that just said no. I'm not doing this. I don't appreciate it. I don't feel as though I'm being respected as a creative. And when I post my video, I want people to when I post my video, even when I post my video for the LA Open, I'm not against people saying, like, Katrina performed here and she said it was a great time. I feel like it's a form of recommendation. That's what social media is. It's just recommending things, just at a higher scale. I don't know if I would have recommended it because I felt energetically with people inside there. I felt unsafe. It felt unorganized. I felt expendable.
Yeah.
Like, my presence wasn't that important. It was more like, oh yeah, you're just a creative there. And I feel as though, again, if creatives are meant to feel expendable, then why have creatives? Why desire creatives to do everything and give them a cut of $20? That makes no sense to me. So, if they're not that important, they're expendable, you don't need them, right?
Yeah.
And that's really why I left. I have no hate towards them, actually. I actually haven't even really seen them or interacted with them since. Excuse me, I do know that they are building and scaling their business. And again, that was their first open mic, so my expectations and my experience compared to someone else's are going to be different. In my college experience, we had to put on shows and we had to put on shows, organize recording sessions for other shows as well. So I feel as though I have a lot of experience in what it means to organize something, even when and if it gets out of hand. It's still not fair. As someone who knows what's happening and what should be going on, I've experienced crazy and weird things on stage, to power outages, to just getting on stage and talking to the audience and saying, hey guys, so sorry, this talent show is going great, we're having a sound issue moment. There's a level of professionalism I believe is necessary when you are dealing with people who create for a living.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest hurdle you've had to deal with on stage? Because I've seen performers deal with power outages, mics coming unplugged in different ways. Some handle it better than others. So,
dang, biggest hurdle,
I'll give you a quick story.
Yes, please.
My poet friend Zach and I, we were performing at a high school trying to show teenagers how poetry is cool. We were also in high school. Power goes out in the middle of his poem. He jumps off a 4-foot stage. You hear a thud, and starts speaking his poem, projecting it to a giant auditorium. Like, at this point, like, shouting his poem. The lights go back on a few lines in. The crowd goes nuts because these teenagers are just like, power goes out? What? Who's yelling? And then it's the guy on stage in front of them. And didn't skip a beat, just rolled with the punches. And that was where I was like, that's how you do it.
Yes, because the show must go on. And that sentence is not ever negative. It really is so positive. The show must go on in any way that you feel as though expression is the most authentically you. Oh, hello. Biggest hurdle I experience on stage. I feel as though I create hurdles for myself on purpose. Like, I will purposefully not sing on the mic and move away from the mic just to project. As a, like, hey, everyone's been singing on a microphone, and I find that kind of boring. I did classical music, so I know what projection looks like in resonance, so, like, let's try it. I think when you asked it, the first thing I thought of was, my heel getting wrapped around the mic wire whilst singing, which, oh god, Like, what do you do? Because you already can't really walk in a heel. And so, like, it was, like, the stiletto part wrapped around the mic wire.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And this was during one of, I was performing a jazz tune, and I was having a scat section. So I'm literally scatting, and it wraps around my heel. I, like, stopped mid-scat, and I was like, okay, life can go back to normal, but, like, I almost fell with the mic in my hand. But no, I don't really think I have yet, knock on wood. Okay. A lot of experiences as of yet. I hope that when they do occur, I can handle them accordingly. I don't want to manifest one. I think the only one that is like, oh, this really happened and I was a little scared. I like fibbed a lyric on stage. And I was like an 8 count. No, okay, that's dramatic. I was like a half measure late on the verse. And so I was speeding through the song now. But I liked it so much that's now how the song goes. Like, I don't think the way I had it originally wasn't interesting, and missing it last minute is way cooler. But I only got distracted because I'm not used to being recorded while I sing. Like, okay, let me clarify. I can record myself while I sing, because, like, it's, you work on that on your own. But, like, the cool dopamine interactive response of someone enjoying what you're doing, anything, and they are enjoying it so much that they go, I have to put this in my phone because I want to remember this moment. And I got so caught up in it, and I was like, oh my gosh, they want me to, okay, the song's still going though, Katrina, go back, like, continue singing your song. But no super bad fibs, luckily. I don't know what I would do, to be so honest with you. I don't.
So the biggest hurdle I had to deal with was a plastered Karen sitting front row for a 20-minute feature.
No.
Host is black. Bartender's Hispanic. No one wants to put their hands on the white woman.
Yeah.
Like,
damn.
So I kind of, at one point, I'm like, well, this feature's toast. I just have to
deal.
I just have to roast this hammered hippo, and
oh, that's mean.
it was to the point where, like, it was a bar I was a regular at, so people were expecting, like, oh, Shane's featuring. We're gonna have a fun time. Here's some new stuff. Here's some jokes we like. And my older brother and his friends were there too. It was supposed to be like a fun night, but instead it was just people watched me shovel fight for my life, throwing jokes at this woman, and then trying to get my actual material in between. And then after my set, her husband stormed out of the bar, left her there. She got in a car and drove away, and we were all like,
she can't drive.
Yeah, and then it was like, what happened to her? It's like, oh, she drove away. She drove away, and we all kind of had a smile on our face. We're like, all right, it's going to be fun checking the news tomorrow morning. That was the mentality around the bar, was just, we were all so sick of her that I had never seen an entire bar full of people thrilled to find out one woman had drunk drove.
That's so sad.
Yes, but that's how far she pushed
right.
The entire bar there, that everyone's like, no, cool, you got the keys? Cool. Freeway's right over there. And I was bummed because I was like, I wanted to have some material to share, something to, like, throw on the roster, and it was just one of those, you never know what to expect with a comedy show, and the show must go on. And I've had friends who were doing comedy for fun. The gig goes a little late, the room gets a little rough, and they want to bail out, and it's like, that's kind of what drew me to comedy. It was a bit like the punk scene of, I might have to put an audience member in their place, I'm gonna go back and forth with the crowd, and nothing is guaranteed.
Nothing is guaranteed.
Because, like, when I see people sing or do poetry, I'm like, y'all don't have to worry about someone going, I like that line, let me add in my 2 cents. Because I've had that with different audience members in the room where I'm like, all right, cool, appreciate the comment, stop talking.
Yeah, I don't think, no. Because hecklers just feel like they can always add something. I feel like when you sing or dance, I take it back, when you sing, not when you dance, people just feel like even if it's bad, they just want to be respectful. I don't think people have the same respect for dancers, though. As of lately, in the past 4 to 5 years, I've seen people dance. Even in like K-pop dances or K-pop groups, like people are very rude and they'll walk in front of them, which you would never do that to any other creative. So again, don't be weird. And I feel like those people are just jealous because they can't create at that level. That's how I really feel. And if they feel differently, don't interrupt people creating because that's weird.
I haven't had people walk in front of my video shoots because I'll go out and shoot podcast content at conventions. That's what I'm going to be doing at Anime Expo, and I haven't had like people interrupt. I did have a moment where I was filming at the U.S.-Mexico border and Border Patrol drove by, and I was in like a camo hiking jacket, and we all kind of like stared each other down, and they're like, TikTok shit, we're gonna go on our way. Yeah. But I did have one where I finished up recording some stuff at Anime Expo last year and then immediately almost got mugged, friend and I, by these two dudes who were trying to take our passes. You're kidding. Yeah, they're like, because we were smoking and they're like, can we hit that? I'm like, nope. And I was playing it off with jokes, but then they kept getting closer and closer, and I made sure like I had my tripod, my mic, and then we both got out of there. And then we later saw one of the dudes walking around the distance, and I was like, oh shit, he got someone's pass. And I was in full cosplay, so like my motions, even though I'm dressed as a warrior, were limited.
Of course.
Dagger's not real.
That's so crazy and horrible. Favorite anime?
My favorite anime, so like my top 4.
Okay. Princess
Mononoke.
Yes.
I mean, when she sucked the gunshot out of the wound, I was just like, wow, dude, this is my dating list now. like, how will you know when you find the one? When she's sucking the lead out of my gunshot wound.
Literally.
Cowboy Bebop.
Ooh,
just
okay.
The soundtrack, the jazz, the fight scenes. Naruto, that's what my cosplay is for, the 4th Hokage. And then my 4th favorite, are you familiar with Gundam?
Vaguely.
So every Gundam is like the cover in anime,
right? Where
there's never more than 2 seasons of one version, so you get to see a lot of different writer and creative teams spin on it, and it's been going on since like the 80s, and that's the fun of the fan base is seeing like who gravitates towards what story, because all the stories are loosely based on the same thing of like independence for a minority living out in space, and then some type of robot being called a Gundam having an edge over other robots in the fight. And my favorite in that itinerary series is Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. And it covers these child soldiers on Mars who are just trying to get out of their indentured servitude.
Wow.
And they're in a legal gray status where they're not citizens, but they're not seen as humans legally. They're child soldiers. Yeah. And they're working with an affluent activist princess who's trying to get independence for them. And there's romance, there's friendship, there's a lot of like great overview of like trauma, because the kids range in age from like 8 to 18. So you're seeing how the older ones are shielding the younger ones want to fight on the bigger machines, and the older ones are like, no, we don't want to do this is bad, stay back. And the show made me cry multiple times. The music when it comes in and out, like that's another thing in all of the shows I recommend, is the music, the role it plays. Does it feed the storyline? Does it come in at the right moment? And those are like my top 4. Number 5 spot is a fist fight of classics and more niche.
That's so sick. I love that. I love that you're like, no, yes, I cry at anime. And anime is really emotional. I think anime can be the gateway to human connection if if we allow it to be. I just think it's super sick. I got into it when I was really, really young, and I was the only one that watched it for a very long time in my household. Started with Bleach and Inuyasha. Those were my very first ones.
Oh, nice.
I know, right? I did not know shonen was like a thing that I was into. And what's funny, as I've gotten older, I don't like shonen.
No,
right?
That's called growing up.
Yes. Like the last Dragon Ball shonen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing, is like I loved Dragon Ball as a kid, and I tried rewatching it. Mm-hmm. The only shonen I can watch is Naruto, and that's just because it was the one I was most into. But I feel you, and there's times where it's like, all right, I can't deal with another high schooler who's shot away to a video game world for no context. Because at certain points I'm just saying like, hey, I watched Sword Art Online. Yes! I don't need it in 5 different versions. Also, this is one thing I run into. Being a feminist and an anime fan
complicated.
Yeah, because there's times where I'm like 3 episodes in and it's like, all right, that's an unfortunate betrayal of a teenager's body. Yep. I'm out.
Yep. I tried watching Dandadan and I had the same. I actually really, really tried getting through Dandadan. And I got 2 episodes in and I was just... What really got me while I was trying to stomach it, I got a TikTok video from a black woman, which even more so, it was like very, very Katrina coded content. And she's like, oh my gosh, you like watching anime but don't like seeing naked teenagers? Here's like 27 anime. And the whole comments, there was like 300 of them, of other anime that don't sexually exploit teenagers. So yeah, I think that's crazy. My favorite anime probably is... Ooh. Be very careful with that answer. What? I had an answer, and then I recently watched Devil May Cry. And my... my answer has taken a very hard left. And also as an anime fan, it's hard to say. It's scary to say my favorite anime, not knowing what the other seasons are going to look like, because they're not out yet.
Yeah, and I had that with an anime recently, where I was like, up until the last episode, I'm like, this is great, I'm with it, it's going to be in the top 15, and then it like ended with this huge allure to grooming. Yeah. And I was just like, all the storylines, and he...
You wasted my time.
Names this woman he adopts the same name as his lover who he never got to mate with. And I was just like, what kind of Drake scenario is...
It's weird.
And that's what bummed me out most was like, you had a great storyline, you just took the perv up over the... Yeah. Even by anime standards, and it's like...
It's disappointing. It's really disappointing. But I will say that my favorite one for like the longest was Death Note. Oh, because I say duh. And if you haven't seen it, like you watch it and you'll get why.
There's a Death Note book on that shelf, and there's only one name I've written in it so far.
No, did you really?
Ted Cruz.
Well, I don't even know why, but I have been I want a Death Note book, but as like an aesthetic thing. But like no, I don't. I take it back. I appreciate the story of it. I don't think a human should have that much power, which makes the story very fascinating. And the storytelling in that anime is amazing. And I love that it's not a boring 12 episodes, because that story cannot be concise in 12 episodes.
Yeah, that's why the movie flopped.
I did not watch the movie. I did not watch the movie. I have not seen the musical. I did.
There's a
musical. There is a real musical. I and I think it's still running.
I like that. That's musicals. And musicals are known for what they cover, not what they uniquely produce.
Yeah, I don't know. It's awkward. So yeah, that's its own thing. My favorite character is Ryuk. I think if I could be an anime character, I probably would be Ryuk. I'm be so honest with you. But no, Death Note, Devil May Cry, Horimiya, which... No. Ooh. It's for romance, it's a tie between Horimiya or My Life as an Otaku. I think that's what it's called. Because I love adults being in love, that versus children navigating things when you don't even know if your voice is gonna crack today. Like, that's really like My Life as an Otaku is so sick because the main character is a born bred otaku who has a corporate life and very bubblegum princess is like, oh my gosh, he's like really cute or whatever, in a corporate way, and they're like go out for drinks or they go out for dinner, and it's just very wholesome and it's very normal. I think it's I don't know, I find high school animes to be unnormal, and then as a high schooler I told myself that I was living a very boring life compared to my heroes because I wasn't a Soul Reaper yet. And I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's very niche, and it's like, you know, this bar isn't real, guys. Hollows is what they're called. So yeah, no, I think anime is super sick. I think I would love to watch and find more girl-focused animes that aren't so focused on men. I think watching, what is that called? Dragon Ball? Because I watched it very recently, like a year ago. My boyfriend's favorite anime. And I remember telling him, I was like, there's only 2 women in the show, and this is so much testosterone, and I just want a woman. And the only time they would really focus on one of the women is if they were going through peril. And I just think that's unfair writing. Because, what? Like Gohan? like Gohan's arc is so cool and convoluted, complex, and intricate. And then they just go off to Bulma. And she's upset because she's stuck in the same place. Like, why can't her storyline be as interesting and convoluted and complicated? And then she just gets, you saw it, so she just gets married to Homeboy, and it's like, yeah, that's your father. And it's like, no one would talk like that. Like, no one, like, if it were me, if I were Bulma and I was married to Vegeta of all people, it would not be, oh, you know, Trunks, that's your dad. Like, it could be like, your dad is the Saiyan, the Prince of Saiyans. And I am the Princess of Saiyans. And she could arguably have an amazing storyline just with that information. So, anyway, that's my opinion.
I mean, like, sometimes I feel like with anime, it's a bit of a reach from, like, asking for a strong female protagonist. Like, look how they're portraying the ones who aren't even involved in the story. That's why I like Nausicaa of the Valley so much, because, have you seen that? Classic Studio Ghibli, like, I watched Princess Mononoke much later, because my animation teacher in middle school prayed us Nausicaa of the Valley, because he would switch off year to year. And it's much more like, when the fires happened, that was the film I thought of where I'm like, oh, I need to do acid and watch Nausicaa. Then this will make perfect, because I saw everyone with the gas masks. And I'm like, then this will be just like and it's this Princess Nausicaa running around trying to understand this forest of poisonous spores that is encroaching, because humans live on the coast because the salt dilutes the poison forest, and she's trying to understand it, how to coexist, and she's trying to bring peace between these warring factions. And meanwhile, a lot of the dudes in her village are just oblivious or good laborers, but they're not the tacticians or the peacemakers. And even then, the only like remotely fighty male protagonist figure is her like elder and advisor. So Nausicaa is this woman taking on the environmental collapse and the warring factions all on her own. And it's really cool how they build this narrative around her, how she, even though she's just a human with no powers, she's engaging with these colossal tasks. And I like that it's like, oh no, she doesn't have powers, she's just using her heart and her mind and trying to persuade people.
That's super sick.
And then as far as like romance anime, have you seen Sword Art Online?
I have. Only season 1.
Okay, so then I won't say what I was about to say.
Because respectfully, season 2 is a little too. Oh, there's a word I would use, but there's a camera, so no.
Too much for you.
It's gross. And like I get like.
Oh no! It's some of the essay scenes.
No, not essay. Well,
or like they imply the potential of it.
I didn't even know that. I haven't gotten that far. The only part that makes me uncomfortable is like, I don't want to share blood with you and then be flirting with you and not know. Ew. I can't. I don't think that's weird. I can't get behind it. So, no. No. I think their whole storyline fell through when they brought that factor in of the possibility. They're like, oh, like, that's my sister, and I don't really know that. And it's like...
Oh, the flirty sibling thing. See, that's not the, like... I'm talking about, like, Kirito and Asuna.
Uh-huh.
How, like, they weren't necessarily... they were both just trying to fight it out, and one day Kirito's just lying, enjoying the digital sun, and Asuna, who's in full warrior, we're gonna fight our way out mode, realizes, like, oh, he's found this zen. We're trapped, but he found this zen and this appreciation in the terror, and how he shares that with her, because I felt like, oh, that's a great metaphor for the stress of the world and politics and of dealing with depression. Of, like, just because we're trapped doesn't mean we can't enjoy the light or the scenery, even though it may be digital for a moment.
Wow.
And then there's other moments where, like, they could do decisions that are more selfish and beneficial to them, but they put themselves in harm's way to help each other. And that's the, like, heartwarming thing for me of, oh, they're risking, because their bodies are wired to these machines, they're risking their health to make sure this person's okay. Because they are in it together and they don't want to have them to go through it alone. And then... from how that relationship spins around, and that also Kirito's got women throwing himself at him, and he's still like, no. I fought my way through hell with this person. I'm gonna stay by her side.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
And I think that is an awesome, like, message to leave an audience of, hey, be with the person who toughed it out for you there in the beginning, not the people who want to join you after it's all said and done.
Of course. It's important to surround yourself with people that see you for who you are, because who you are is who you will be, without the glitz and glamour and the cameras and the flashes. It's really unfortunate, and that's why you have people and creatives having aggressive amounts of trust issues, because the same people who told them that they wouldn't amount to anything are the same ones calling them and saying, bro, you had the vision, like, you don't get it, like, I was just prepping you for the hate that you were about to get, like, can I get some? You know what I mean? And I like that you said that a lot, because one of the last assignments I remember from the Artist Way was write down 5 people you feel safe. We did this week 1 and we did it week 12, I believe. But it was write down 5 people that you feel safe to be yourself and talk about art and be a child with. And who are 5 people that do not inspire the same? And when you recognize that there are people who do not incite the best of you just based off their energy, it's a really tough pill to swallow as a creative.
Yeah,
right?
I had that with different friends over the years of doing art, where great friends, but I just, for the sake of my art and me, I needed space. Yeah. And it takes strength to be like, I like this person, but they're not conducive to the direction I'm going in. And I have felt that in the past with other friends who walked away and pursued other relationships in lieu of me, of realizing, like, oh, they had their own thing going on, that we just weren't headed in the same direction. And I had that recently where a few friends who I was like, hey, great times together, but I got to do my thing. When it came time for them to get back into it, they hit me up like, hey, you want to write? Do you want to go to a gig? Do you want to do this thing together? And it took time for them to find their spark and come back into it. And that has been some of the most fun I've had, is reconnecting with old friends from, like, middle school and high school, of like, hey, just because we're not going the same direction doesn't mean we can't catch up every once in a while or link up again when we're more eye to eye.
I agree. I think definitely at the age that I am, not even the age I am, Actually, no, take it back. At the age I am, like I just came back from a sleepover with one of my best friends, and it's just so surreal because she said something that really, it just hit me like really, really personally. She said, I appreciate we've been friends since freshman year of high school. During our friendship, we gave each other space when we recognized we weren't growing at the same pace. And this is the friend that was always over at my house, even if we weren't talking all the time. And like my mom knows her mom, and like I like talk to her mom and her sibling. And it's so much to recognize it's okay to not be in alignment with the people that you once were. It's actually healthy because it communicates that you're an independent. Even as American society continues to grow, we are individualistically focused. We are not community focused, like an example being South Korea. And so I even have people, like today, like texting me and sending me messages like, I'd love to hang out with you, and they're from high school, and I've given them like the chance to hang out and then see like what this could be, and it reminds, all that usually happens is we're talking about things from high school. It's as if they're stuck, and I don't want to be stuck. And so then I will say, like, that is something I am still navigating. What it means to place a little bit of a boundary of, hey, like, you're so cool and we are friends. I don't think I want to hang out with you right now. I don't think it's conducive to the reality I'm living in. And that can be scary because you don't want to be rude. And these people usually are the ones that really do check on you, or maybe they don't. It all depends, but I think having this pressure that you need to stay at the frequency that someone met you is unfair.
Yeah.
You're supposed to grow. If you're not growing, again, same thing I said earlier. If you're not growing, what are we doing? If you're not changing, what are we doing? If you're not appreciating creatives, why create?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the hardest things in relationships is giving yourself room to grow and change, but also realizing you met and you liked each other at a certain image at a certain point. Yes. And you're not, and people don't go into a relationship thinking, am I still going to like this person when they go through 2 to 5 more phases? How is this going to look when I change and when I'm a different person and I'm still expecting them to be the same? Because I definitely feel like, especially since like quarantine, like I didn't really get into anime till the pandemic. Like I watched Yu Yu Hakusho when I was a kid. I was Digimon, Dragon Ball, but I never considered myself an anime fan. And like the 2 animes that I would like name drop to be like, I'm cool, I know what anime is, would be like Akira and Nausicaa of the Valley, and then I didn't know anything else. And then the pandemic hits, I watched all of Naruto. 2 to 3 of those times I was on mushrooms, so that's part of why the show imprinted on me. I'm hearing all these heartfelt moments of friendships, and my eyes are dilated.
That's kind of cool, though.
And we're going through a pandemic, so I'm like, I was listening to Naruto talk more than like other humans. And then I just started going through the catalog and watching more animes. And then after the pandemic, then I got really into my own culture, my Irish culture, and seeing how, like, getting into that, I started butting heads with relatives because now we're having different perspectives on who we are and where we came from. And in a weird way, I feel like I was almost incomplete around everyone else I had ever met until now. Because it's like, oh, you were seeing this fragment of me, whereas I feel so much more complete now that I have these lessons and parts of myself I've plugged into from anime, from connecting with my ancestry. And it makes me excited to reconnect with old people, but also understanding both where I was at with, like, I'm 2 years sober from alcohol, where I was at of how friends were distancing themselves from me because they were trying to take better care of themselves and I wasn't. And having respect for that of like, hey, I burned that bridge, but I'm happy they're doing what they can keep themselves safe and away from what they perceive to be toxicity.
That's tough. Thank you for sharing. Because it's, as we grow and change and disassociate, but also distance ourselves from people who, like we said, aren't conducive to our own reality or our goals, we have to recognize that we probably were that version to other people as well. And I think that's where growth can happen, where you're aware to know what you want, but also aware to know what you've done. How you've affected people is a lot more prevalent than people are willing to admit. Just because you are willing and wanting to forget it doesn't mean that everyone else is at that same wave. And just being with my friend, she's amazing. Like, truly, I'm inspired by her every day. But I think with our friendships and relationships, as you said, when we leave the nest and we find parts of ourselves and we come back, we're just building this really cool sculpture that takes our whole life to finish. From your first breath to your last. And her saying that she gave me the space to be who I am. In relationships, she didn't agree with. In dynamics, she was really worried for me. In other things. And some people might say, like, you're a bad friend if you give space, but you're a bad person to yourself if you don't take care of your own. So yeah, I agree. I think it's important. Resonate at your own frequency. Grow your frequency. Come back. You can always come back. But take care of yourself while you grow. So when you don't take care of yourself while you grow, so when we start getting into really scary conversations about things that even ourselves were scared to tap into. You know. Give space. I'm very happy. Like, being, especially coming from that sleepover and everything that's happened to me this past weekend, space is not as destructive as it is cultivative to growth.
Well said.
Thank you.
So this is another, like, general question I ask every artist. So, singers and dancers, who are some that you admire, and who are some that you hate?
Hate? Oh, I have no hate.
Because, like, there's plenty of comedians, poets, and musicians I want to hit with a chair.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm like, you have a platform, you should know better. Bad person of influence. And I'm always intrigued by what other artists find are good examples or inspiring in what they do, and what are bad examples. Because there's a lot of, like, punk musicians who have a lot of clout that I hate and want everyone to know their crimes and misdeeds.
Wow. I don't think I have hate in my heart for anyone that I don't know personally. But then even the people I know personally, I refuse to carry that intense emotion because it's one-sided. I try to carry emotions that are at least double-sided to some degree. But artists that I really, really love and admire, Doechii. Doechii. I have such fond memories of when I found her music, where I was, who it grew me into. And even when Alligator Bites Never Heal came out, I didn't listen to it as soon as it came out. I listened to it 4 months after it released. And it was so perfect because where I was in that moment, I needed it then. I feel so connected and aligned with her and her music. It finds me when it's necessary. I don't feel like a fan when I'm talking about her or thinking about her. She's in my head the definition of someone who creates, because that's what they're meant to do. Love Beyonce. Love the way she performs. I believe she is not only an icon, but opened a lot of doors for Black women. I love Doechii for the same reason as a dark-skinned Black woman specifically. Both are amazing, nonetheless. Who else do I like? Oh, I grew up listening to a lot of K-pop, actually, which is like everyone's like, what? And I'm like, I think K-pop is super cool. I used to think it was a lot cooler. Now I'm an adult, so my opinions are changing. But is there a group? I would like to say my favorite group probably is a group called Twice. Um, and I just think their level of professionalism and creativity and chemistry on stage is something that I aspire to have with not only myself internally, but with the people that I perform with and create with. I'm really trying. I'm really trying to think of other people. I'm usually inspired by people who most people don't know yet. Like, I'm inspired by my best friend, Desiree, or Des Garza, and my boyfriend Sahamsky. All three of us and her boyfriend will meet up once a month and talk about our creative goals and things stopping us, and things of that nature. So for me, people who break the status quo and are willing to ask the questions no one else is willing to are the people who inspire me the most. But to inspire does not mean you have to be the loudest, and to inspire does not mean you have to inspire hundreds. Like, my boyfriend has changed my life, and we've been together for 3 years, and a lot of actions that I've taken, and my best friend, actions that I've taken, you would never know by looking at me. But that is who I am today because of who they are and what they've inspired. If I someone I hate in the industry, well, someone maybe I just dislike a little bit more than strongly. I don't think
DJ Khaled and Andrew Schultz have been dragged through the dirt on this podcast just for hear the usual.
You know what's it sucks because, like, I grew up with those names, so it's like there's a lot of mixed feelings that come up with it. I just don't like the idea of spewing hate, but I will say something I dislike in our industry is exploitation of creatives. And okay, I'll say this: a strong dislike of something in the industry, not necessarily someone that creates, but a form of creating. People that are not musicians hosting events for musicians. I think that's really preposterous. No. like would you, if I were trying to sell you on a dance recital and I was like, guys, I want you to go to this dance recital. It's gonna be bumping. These guys are gonna be doing twirls. They're gonna be Shazam up and down. It's gonna be amazing. And if you asked me, was it Shazam? And I'm saying it wrong on purpose because it's Chasse. But if you asked me and I was like, I don't know, you gotta ask them. Don't go. That's weird. And I feel like it's becoming this new phenomena where you're asking these creatives to perform because you're blanketing it as we need you in the audience, we need your efforts, and then they give all of the work to the creatives, and pressure them to create, which again is really, really weird. And if you were a creative as a musician, you don't do that. And again, this comes from my experience in college of being a musician, hosting events for musicians, and really talking to them and really understanding what's happening. You don't have to pressure people to make the best art. And I feel as though when you're not in the industry and your only job is to talk to artists or talk down artists to negotiate with them, you don't know what you're doing because that's not your industry. You want one objective from these people, and it usually is money. Versus, I can only speak from my experience when I would host these events and even be a part of events held by musicians. It felt like a community. It felt like it felt like we were a family in that room. Hey, like, there was someone super, super nervous, and we were like, hey, dude, like, you want to restart the song? Like, that's okay. It's not an issue. Because as a musician, I get why you're nervous. Yeah, but no hate. Like, I've only just spoken to those people with mild attitude and all truth of what they do and exploiting artists and being rude and having one goal in mind that was never about the art to begin with, but that's your tagline to get an artist interested. Because you're exploiting a child's dream at the end of the day. If you look at it from the perspective which it is, you are using a dream to get what you want. I think is diabolical and quite criminal. Yeah.
Interesting.
How so?
No, I like that your heart is so kind. You don't want to hate. You don't want to.
Thanks.
Because that's where I'm always like torn. Where I'm like the hippie in me, peace and love. The comedian and punk rocker and a bit of the feisty Irishman in me. I enjoy a good dissecting of a problematic person or situation.
Right. I think there's a difference between dissecting and also just hating on it. Like, I love girl. Like, yesterday I was dissecting one K-pop idol's performance style, and a lot of fans are not happy with it. And just listening and it was a very intense video. How about that? Scary, because the comments were really mean, and I was like, dude, if I was this girl, I would never sing again. Like, and that's me being as honest as possible. But to dissect something for how you perceive the art versus hating on it, I feel like they're so different, and people are unaware that they blend the two more often. What?
Say that last part? I'm just taking it all.
Giving your opinions on a performance and critiquing it for the betterment of a performer versus hating on it and adjusting that performer's perception of their own art are two different things that tend to be twins. Not twins, but they just they get glued together. They're not glue. They're actually they're not even twins. They're like fraternal. Is that what it's called? Like, they kind of look similar, but not really.
Well, I've had that where, like, I've seen people have really rough sets, and I'll try to be like, hey, tweak this, throw this line, because sometimes all that a good joke is missing is just an extra line. And I've done joke workshops where be like, oh, try this line, and a part of that is, hey, comedians are very protective of, this is my joke, this is my line. If someone's giving you a line that's like, oh, cool, this is currency for our craft. And there's times where I'm like, oh, try this line, or try doing this thing, wanting to see people succeed, and then they'll get very defensive of like, are you saying my set was terrible? It's like, yes, I want you to do better. And trying to like, no, I'm trying to help you, but them internalizing it, and it's like, fine, don't take my advice, keep doing terrible.
I think that's also a very fascinating conversation as well, because I don't... I have mixed feelings when people give advice unwarranted versus when it's warranted. Because it's important to recognize some people are not in the space to... You and I know, when you get off stage, that first 10 minutes feel so foggy. Because people are coming up to you, there's a lot of sound, the host has to get the ball rolling again where... girl, I'm on cheer. I'm over here doing pom-pom. But, the host has to get the ball running again after the performance. People are clapping. People are trying to get your Instagram. It's really overstimulating. And for me, I need an hour after until I feel like I'm back to... I'm sitting in a chair again. Like, I'm Katrina all over again. Yippee. Because it's kind of like you're on when you perform until after. So I can imagine for some people they hate getting advice or critiques on their performance, especially when they don't ask for it. But then the question that I usually have is, then when do you give your own opinion if someone's not asking for it?
Yeah, it's a tightrope to walk, and I've had it pay off for me where there was a bar I performed at regularly in Hollywood, and this bartender goes, I like this joke you do, and then they told me a joke, and they go, try this one line. And I was like, huh, okay, I tried it. Complimented the joke, great.
Really?
Yeah, and I was just like, thank you. Like,
That's
what?
sick.
Like, in a weird way, I'm kind of glad the bartender didn't go on stage and then do their version of my joke.
Mm-hmm. That's sick.
Because I have hosted a few shows where someone completely bombed a premise, and then they were irritating me as a host too. So then I would go and do their joke, but I would do it in a way that works, and I'd be like, that's how you do that joke. Anyway, here's my set. And just throwing shade at them of like, you can take my advice or you don't have to. But if you don't take my advice, I'm going to do the joke and do it right. Wow. And I, especially in the comedy scene, I enjoy just all the shit giving. Like, I have comedians I know where we're rude to each other on purpose, and it's just a part of the game.
Wow.
And that's always where I'm like, hey, I'm trying to find that right area of like being an active audience member and being a supportive peer, but then also like, hey, if you do terrible, it works better for me. Why on earth would I be wanting you to do better when we're competing for the same gigs and the same audience? Like, what ulterior motive do I have to giving you improvement advice when you improving could cost me my next spot?
So you're saying...
And that's like, me giving advice is me trying to help all of the other boats in the water. Rather than it's like, no, I could play that game. But I got to where I was because people were giving me advice and helping me look at things from different perspectives.
Oh, wow.
And some of the most brutal comments I got on my work was the best advice. Like, and that's where I'm like, I learn more from bad sets and criticism than I do from doing good. This is another question I like to ask people of, what are your thoughts on all the fascism going on?
I don't do politics.
You don't?
It stresses me out. I cry. I'm not gonna lie. I think I have such strong opinions, but I have yet to dabble into my opinions through my art, so I hesitate to say them without my art.
Interesting.
I feel as though my art would and is more impactful in the way that I would approach it than what I could and would say now. Not to diminish and say anything negative. This is just the most neutral response I can think of. So yeah, I think the most impactful ways for me to communicate is through my art, because I believe that is who I am. So I really try to I try to communicate as clearly and authentically as possible when it comes to my art, because I think that's where change happens. But I did want to say, going to what you said earlier, because it was very fascinating, I find it really hard when people give me advice on my art, when they don't see me.
Yeah.
Because there are people who are like, oh yeah, but if you did this thing, and it would be so good if it was just this way. And it's like, hey guys, taking advice from someone who is yet to take the risk that I'm taking is that is a concoction that I choose not to drink. That makes no sense to me.
Oh no, that's really smart, and I've told other performers a similar version of, only take advice from people who are also willing to get on stage, because I've had that with comedy where people are like, oh, this is a funny joke, you should tell it. It's like, you go tell it. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and then I've had it with poetry when people are like, oh, why is it so heavy? It's like, because that's the part of me that's writing the poem.
Like, you're not asking the right questions. To have discourse, we need to have questions. If you're asking why it's so heavy, the initial question that I would have is, if you could concoct a dish for how deep that poem impacted you and that situation impacted you, what would it be? It's not a question of why. I feel like we ask a lot of why questions now, and we're not asking how. When we ask how, it's a lot cooler. Instead of, why did Doechii make Alligator Bites Never Heal? That's a boring question. How did she make it? She locked herself in a studio for a whole month. And then called her label and said, I'm releasing an album, you do with that information what you will. You will not tell me when I can do what I want to do. I'm a creative. I am meant to create. That is how she did it. That story is so much cooler than, I just wanted to make an album about some alligators. Like, it's like that's nothing to do with it. That's nothing to do with it at all. So yeah, I think, but going back to just taking advice from people that you care about, like, I've had to filter even out the advice that I take from family, and that's really sad and scary. But it goes back to what I said earlier, like, you're not taking the risks that I'm taking, and I don't know if you are seeing me in the way that I see myself, but that other people see me without me having to adjust my size for consumption. Yeah. And it's like a really hard pill to swallow, because you like to believe that your family knows you the best, or your fans know you the best. But then you'll hear, no, literally, but then you'll hear some of their advice, and it's like, either you don't know me, or you don't get it. You're either comparing me to the people that you consume, and that's not fine or dandy. But I understand where you're coming from. You want to better help me, but you're not. You're actually making this environment quite destructive because you're comparing. And that is what kills so much creativity. So much. So I say, please give advice if you are doing the thing, have done the thing. And I don't even mean it successfully. I mean just done it. And you actually care about the art of it. If you care about the art and you've done it, please give advice. We want to hear it. Up and down, YouTube video, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. But if you're not, and you're just comparing it to what you believe, you're probably doing more harm than you are good with the creatives in your life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like what you said about wanting to only speak about politics through your art. Mm-hmm. Because I've been protesting since I was 14. I hate getting on the bullhorn and speaking at rallies. Microphone on a stage, different story. And it's a bit of like, no, I like speaking through these art forms and through the parameters and through the space. And then also usually when I'm at protests and rallies, I want to give more marginalized folk or people who are revved up the chance to. Because I know a lot of people who speak at rallies, they're not performers. This is their performance. This is their time to get in front of the photo. Whereas I would much rather be tracking the cops in relation to where I'm at. And I totally get that. Mm-hmm. And I've hesitated to answer questions at protests. When people interview me, but then there's also like hey, isn't that the job of the artist to articulate things as well as we can? Yeah. And because I see the contrast of that when I see people who don't know how to speak or can get their thoughts together, speak, and it's just like, oh crap, they're the ones they think represent us. Because there's been a few times where I'm like, that is not us. No, we don't know them. They showed up at the end, like.
And that's not fair. And like, and also even with just how our day and social media operate, we're so quick to take 10 seconds of a podcast and make a whole observation off of the whole podcast, and like, or interview or whatever have you. Really, they even do red carpet events now, which is so insane. So people can't even be humans without you taking it out of context. I can imagine why using your voice is scary. I believe using your voice in the way that you feel called to is the most impactful, and that's not everyone is called to speak. Most people are called to use their hands, or they're called to move their body, and it's just other things to nurture in different ways. So yeah, I would love to hear like 20 artists talk about what's going on today, because through that you get different perspectives. Maybe one person is all orchestral and the violin is how they really feel, but the drum is how it feels to just live in this world. Another person is probably just synths, and it's the polar opposite. I think Opinions don't change anything. Change moves. Music is a part of change. Creating is a part of change. I don't think. Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think if I'm doubling down on that sentence. Yeah, I don't think speaking out your opinions does much now. It's more so influencers or creatives saving themselves from their fan base so their fan base isn't upset with them. That's not fair. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. You're asking this person that you look up to fill in this quota so that you can continue to support them. Why not allow them to respond and communicate the way that makes the most sense to them?
Yeah.
So yeah, but I hear you, and it's like, dang, like, it's like we don't claim her, and it's like, aw, dang, like, what did they do? So.
Yeah, I was at the rally, I think it was June 8th in downtown, the one where the Waymos got burned, and there were a few people intoxicated near the, like, intersection I was at, and we all made it clear to the cops, these people are intoxicated, we are not trying to escalate.
Nope.
That guy has a balloon that he's huffing, and trying to, like, make that clear.
Very clear.
Because it's like, hey, it sucks that all of these people are going to get lumped in or hurt because this one person is antagonizing the cops. And it was heartwarming to see, as mad as we all were at the cops, we were also mad at this random person.
Right. Right. Jeez.
So the hate wasn't just political, it was like, oh no, they're a dick.
Right, but also, like, I feel like we've lost social cues as a society. It should be so obvious that someone is intoxicated. And if I gave you a picture of someone protesting, someone intoxicated, and I said which is which, it should not be that complicated. And so, in a hypothetical world, if the police at that location decided to antagonize someone who's inebriated and say they're a part of the protesters, do you not see that you're using your power for manipulation? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like over-explaining yourself is it is something that we now expect from anyone who uses their voice to communicate, which is annoying. Some people we should just communicate. I shouldn't have to be thinking about how I'm going to be perceived if I use these 10 seconds. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not fair. You should just be a human. Being a human is not complicated. We can make it complicated with our worldly rules and expectations of society and people, etc., etc., etc. But I'm sorry you experienced that, because you should not have to advocate for someone who is not a part of your group. That's weird. Like, they obviously, I'm assuming, weren't dressed the same. They didn't seem the same. Like, there's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah. So, and it's just like with any crowd. Like, I like the art forms I identify with, but then there's plenty of problematic people who also identify as that. And sometimes I am hesitant to say I'm a comedian, because especially if people have heard a bunch of awful stand-up comedy. And I've heard plenty of comedians who, when they're doing bad, the default is to be more homophobic or transphobic. And that's where it's like, hey, I love certain artists, I hate others, because it's the artists that I hate that are the ones I'm worried about getting associated or lumped in with. Or I've had people like, oh, you're a comedian? I'm like, hey, I am not like the others.
No, I get you. And I think it's, going back to your question of, like, creatives that people could hate, I think it's unfair to hate someone for their expression. And I think...
like the medium of expression or the content of the...
both. Because why would I tell someone the level of the medium they chose that is acceptable for their expression? They are not creating for me. I think it's very selfish to assume that every creative makes art so that every single ear it touches, it needs to be consumed and loved. That's crazy. That's impossible. But it is fair to say that there are people you just don't resonate with.
Yeah.
And that's where you can say, I don't vibe with their music. And that doesn't make them horrible. It doesn't mean that you have to hate them. If you hate people for your reasons, I'm sure they're valid. I choose not to. But I think it's important to say, when some people say, I hate this artist for the way that they make music, I think that's unfair. Because that's the way that they feel the most clear, concise form of their own expression. Like, if someone said that to me, I literally, like, I hate your music, Katrina, because insert reason of your expression. I probably would say, well, that's an opinion, and I love the way I express myself. And you don't have to stream my music. You don't even have to press play. And your life could actually get better. And I hope your life gets better. I don't have to be a part of it.
Have you ever faced any, like, have you ever faced any consequences for your expression? Have you ever lost a job or had someone cut themselves off from you? Because, like, I've lost jobs. I've had people see my activist life and be like, I can't be with you. So I'm curious if you've had any of those hurdles.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a Black woman, so I have a lot of very intense opinions and thoughts. I'm also just like an intense person in general. So, conflict does not bother me. It actually has not bothered me. For a long period, I used to dislike it. Now I understand why conflict is not a scary thing. For me, at least. But, I'm trying to think of, like, any specific instances. I would say, honestly, again, because I was a senior when COVID happened, and I was posting about Black Lives Matter, and I'm just 18, and all of my friends were like, we just graduated high school, and we're figuring life out as seniors starting college, and I watched a lot of the people that I defended when their communities were being ostracized and ridiculed not say anything. And yes, I used my voice. And yes, I was quite aggressive. And how disappointing it is as to see your character not advocate for someone who continuously tries to advocate for you. And has that gotten me hurt? Yes. Has that made me lose friendships? Yes. Being called dramatic or too much is not something I'm new to. And if I am and you perceive me as such, so what? You're not enough of it, is what I'm getting at. Because if you understood where I was coming from, it's not too much. If you understood where I was coming from, it's not dramatic. It's just how you feel. We're not used to accepting people. And I'm okay with releasing relationships that don't accept me at the very least. I think that's like a bare minimum. Because it goes back to what we were even saying about friendship, and distancing yourself from people. What were we talking about? Oh, when you're at different phases of your life. Again, handy dandy. But girl, I lost my whole train of thought. What was I talking about? Distancing yourself from friends.
The initial question was, have you had any, like, consequences or lost any people or work because of your artwork or opinions?
Right. You can distance yourself from people and still accept them for who they are. Again, those are two conversations that we have somehow merged together in our society that I believe are very separate. To say that you love someone from a distance and spew negative words you wouldn't repeat to your mother. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a dissonance here, guys. We're not getting the full story. You can accept someone and not be around them respectfully. I have not had most of the experiences that I'm thinking of. They were not as respectful, and I did lose friends. But I would even say that, I hate to even say that I've lost friends. I like to say I gained a part of myself that I couldn't have gotten without them. Because it was through the silence I recognized what I stood for. You know.
Interesting. I can understand how your existence and how you identify as issues for people. I think it's fucking stupid. Because of my organizing and my own expression of ideas, I lost a job over a Palestine post. I've got into it with people I grew up with and was friends with. I had to unfriend a lot of people from high school, and I never try to seek confrontation, but if I feel like there's a moral issue, I'm gonna stand by it. And that's one thing that I still have to think about now is, just because I'm conversing with this person well on this topic, if they were to follow me in line, what else are they going to see? And I've had people go through my catalog of work after a single conversation or message, and understanding where it's so I'm constantly keeping my catalog of work and expression out there in the back of my head of, this is all following me. How am I going to interface with people knowing that they might read stuff out of context. They might see a photo or something and they're not going to read the caption. And going through life knowing that, and especially in work situations, I'm very cognizant of as far as work is concerned, I don't have social media. If they had an issue with a post, it's because they're going out of their way to find me online.
Because then that's your expression that they're having an issue with.
Yeah, and then also the annoying thing is, especially, I'm well read on a lot of these topics. I would love to have the debate, but people like to judge and punish before
talking.
Yeah, I'm but I got all my sources cited. So this is a good segue of, if you had to flee the country, where would you go? Because this is something I think about where I'm all right, it's getting a little dicey, eh?
But that's still in America. It's still America. But if it's not America adjacent at all, Croatia. I just came back from Croatia.
Oh, how was that?
It was beautiful. So beautiful. I would stay in such a small town. I'm not giving it up, because if I need to leave, y'all, that town will be quiet. But no, I loved my time there. I actually like quiet areas most when I travel, because I grew up in a hustle bustle city. So when I travel, I believe I should not have to ever be in a hustle bustle. No issue. I have no issue with the way LA lives, but if I'm traveling out of LA, I don't want LA in a different font. But really, when we went to Croatia, stayed in one city that was just, I have never slept so peacefully after more than a 6-hour flight in a country where the time is so different. That was amazing. And then we went to Split, and Split was very loud. Split stressed me out, because I was this is LA, but I don't speak the language.
So LA for half the people in LA.
Yeah. Right.
Because some of the best restaurants I've been to out here, I didn't know it was on the menu. I just smelled the grill and I'm it has to be good. Mm-hmm.
And that's the best way I tell people to eat food in LA. It has nothing. It is all the hospitality, the smile in the hospitality, and how good it smells. And the thing is, if it smells weird, don't listen to your body. Your body doesn't want it, so you don't want it. Leave. No one's gonna be upset with you for leaving and spending your money. It's your money. But no, I'd probably go somewhere in Europe. The energy of Europe is so feminine. I'm a little obsessed. I'm not gonna lie. It's my first time going to Europe. So I want to spend every summer in Europe, actually. If I could make that possible, I totally would. But those are the only two places, Kauai and Croatia. I feel like I would like to be in Croatia, but not for as long as I would have to be if I really fled the country. My first idea would really be Kauai.
Yeah, get away from the mainland and then... my grandpa lives on the Big Island, and he is living his best life. And
No way. So
I'm,
sick.
and I'm like, I wouldn't be responding to messages either.
No, I went last year, like November. Mind you, an island in November. I was like, it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be I don't think I've. They opened the door when we got into our terminal, and I felt the air come in, and I immediately was like, this is the best place in the world. Like, it was just like, wow, like this, I felt this wash over me. And I know the Hawaiian Islands are very sacred, and they're to be treated with such respect, but I felt so welcomed by just the air. You know how cool that is? To feel the air and be like, I felt like I got hugged just now. Like, that's super sick. So yeah, those are my two answers currently.
I always felt torn about going to Hawaii because I have so much empathy where I'm like, Hawaiians, Irish, we're both islanders that the English just wouldn't leave the fuck alone.
Yeah.
And it always feels weird to me. I'm like, they don't want us here. The population hasn't bounced back in Ireland. I feel like if there's one island I should go and spend too much time on, should probably be the one that the barcode on in my jeans are.
No, I get you. It's hard. Dang, no, you're not wrong.
And especially like knowing all the like military testing and the history, I'm just like,
too much.
Like I can't drown all the white guilt in Konas out there. Like
No, you can't. And also, like, they're really territorial, the locals.
I get it. Oh my!
I have no issue with it, honestly.
Good for them. Like
good, like truly good. My boyfriend, he was homeschooled. I'm over here giving all his tea. But he was.
I'll list him as the other guest in the interview.
No, literally. But he has amazing music out. You guys should go stream it.
Be like, what? You didn't see the other guy there the whole?
No, literally, he's right here, guys. But no, my boyfriend was homeschooled, so he would spend like his summers or winters in Kauai, like doing, being homeschooled by his mom, and it was just so cool going there, to see a part of his childhood, and also like his dad is just so cool. And lived there and was not treated like a local, and near the end of his life was then treated like one because he respected the community, he respected the island. He didn't walk in everywhere thinking he knows everything like some Angelinos can do. It's actually amazing to be a beginner and give yourself grace to not know anything. So yeah. So as much as I would love to go to Kauai, like genuinely I would love to go there, I don't know if I would be allowed, and I wouldn't push myself to go. I most likely would go to my mom's home country, which is Panama.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But I don't know as much because she left when she was 16. So I feel I know a lot, but not a lot.
My mom and my brother were there working on a film, so I got to see some photos and get a feel for the culture. And my brother's a foodie, so it was cool hearing about his explorations.
Yeah, they got good food there.
Yeah, I haven't been to Europe, but I'm trying to go to Ireland in September for 3 weeks. And I wanted to go to more of Europe, but I really like, if I'm going to a place, I don't just want to be there for a day or two. No. I want to be there for minimum a week to get a feel of like, what's it like being here? Like, going through the monotony and getting just a little bit of like, oh, where am I? Oh, that spot. That's where I'm going for food. And just to get a feel for it. Because I feel like anything less than a week, you're just glancing at it.
That's not fair. We did a week in each city when we went to Croatia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was ideal. It was so ideal. We even took like the transit. We took a ferry from this is an estimate, but the ferry is like if we took from LA to San Francisco in one day. So it's like, you're on the ferry for a long portion of the day.
I've been making the drive between Northern and Southern California since I was a kid, because we'd go up to Lake Tahoe for family trips, and then in college I would do that drive alone. Doing a 9 to 10 hour car drive alone, you go a little crazy. Just Because you guys, there's no amount of fast I can go on this freeway that'll make it go sooner. Like, I was cruising down the freeway through the Central Valley at like 90 miles an hour, and even then it's still just like, it felt like I was in purgatory because it's like, it all looks the same.
Yeah, we would do that drive from LA to Arizona.
Oh, that's brutal, because that's all heat. At least with the Central Valley, you get some, like, farmland.
Nope, we did it, like, every single, like, summer and winter. I remember hating that drive. It got to a point where we would be on the drive and I would say, Mom, that's where the tornado started last year. And, like, I could pinpoint it. You know how crazy you have to be to pinpoint dirt? And say that's where it was. So, yeah, but no, I actually really love travel. I hope to go to Colorado soon.
Oh, cool.
That's like a dream of mine. I feel really called to go there.
My aunt and uncle have a farm out there.
That's so sick. I'm jealous.
They have, yeah, all sorts of animals. They sent us honey. They harvested ones, and...
That's so sick. Take me. I want to take the Amtrak train to Colorado and go through, I don't know what state, so I'm not going to name them, but I've only traveled southbound across the states. I haven't gone to through the middle or upper northern, so I just want to go on a train. I'm gonna be honest with you, I think trains are sick. I think trains and cruises are the best transportation.
I took the train from Oakland to Portland, and that was like a 5-hour. I did it alone. Traveling alone, definitely, its own blessing and curse, because you move faster, but then also there's times of like, hey, that looks cool, and you're just like, it's me. But that was if you want a like beautiful train ride, because you're going through forests and nature spots that there's no roads. And then they have train cars that have glass on the ceilings, so you can gaze at the trees and the stars. So if you are looking for like a short train ride, but still want like length, Oakland to Portland, because it's just long enough where it's a journey, but not so long where you're like, ugh. Yeah.
That's so sick. We did from LA to Mount Shasta.
Oh, cool.
Or Dunsmuir, if you want to be more specific. And yeah, we got there super late, so we saw nothing. Like, the only things we saw were the things I'm used to seeing in LA. And then when we left, our train left at 6 a.m. And our entire time at Shasta, we did not see Mount Shasta at all. It was raining, snowing, and everything in between. And on our ride out, we passed like these trees, and it's like, the mountain. Okay, we're leaving. Like, that's all I got. I got 5 seconds of the mountain, and then we rode home. But no, I think trains are sick. I think there should be more trains. I'm a train enthusiast. It took one train ride to make me an enthusiast.
So I got 2 more questions for you.
Yes.
What would your last meal be if you had?
I had my last meal. I love to cook, and I made. My last meal? That's such a sad question. If I had to think about that inevitable day, I make this meal where I cook and marinate chicken. It doesn't have a name. I should name it. But I cook chicken thighs in like yogurt, like a very Greek style meal, and I cut cucumbers, pickles, pickled radish, onion, and feta cheese, and then I just mix it into like a little bowl and I eat it with tortilla chips.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah. I was bored in the kitchen one day, and that became my meal prep for 3 months. So yeah, that would be my last meal, because it's easy to make and it's something that only I could enjoy. So what about you?
Like a family favorite, corned beef hash. Just,
sounds good.
Yeah, it's beef, potatoes, and throw it with some scrambled eggs on the side, and especially like playing sports, that aggressive amount of protein in a single meal just hit the spot. And that's always like whenever I'm at a diner, that's one thing I always look for. It's like, yeah, pancakes, French toast, anyone can flub those. But any like good corned beef hash, because it's you can tell if it's out of the can or if they're chopping it and up themselves.
Putting in the time. I don't think I've ever had it. You're inspiring me.
It super suburban white diner shit, but it's so good. And then also because I have this like, I think my stomach is like somewhere in the Iron Age where I'm just like grain and meat. Seasoning, cool. Not a requirement, but it hits the spot. And also, like whenever my anxiety's high and my appetite's not there, if I smoke corned beef hash, no matter how depressed I am, I'm gonna.
Wow, that's sick though. Everyone should know one meal that gets them hungry, even if they're not hungry.
Yeah, and that's like, I've like noticed, especially when I'm like feeling down.
That's so sick.
And and then you like sometimes I'll like cook rice on the same pan or like fry eggs in it after, so I get the like grease in the next thing I cook.
That's genius.
Oh yeah, boil rice in a pan you just fried meat in, and then it helps clean the pan because the hot water is naturally boiling the grease that's stuck onto the pan off, and then it's remixing with the food. So it's saving me a little dish time and seasoning up the next thing I'm cooking. That's how I cook all meals, where I'm like, how can I get the flavors from this last thing I cook into the next thing?
You just blew my mind. My boyfriend's gonna be sick of me. Thank you. Oh, I'm so excited.
Or works with any meat, and then
Any
cook
meat.
rice, and then you boil rice in the same pan after.
Should I with fish?
I'm not a big fish person.
Okay. I'll try it. I'll text you.
Yeah. I'm not as familiar with frying fish, but
Fish is good. But I understand. I understand why people can't get behind fish. I'm not upset.
it was also just a bit of like something about the texture of like land meat compared to sea meat. And then
a hard one.
Yeah, and then I think it's also a bit of like I studied oceanography in college, so I know too much about what's in the ocean, and sometimes it's like, no. What ocean did you say it was caught in? No, thank you.
Yeah. Dang. I get. I don't think I could study it. I like fish. I like fish a lot, but I understand.
That's why I sometimes will see like a documentary. I'm like, I want to keep enjoying that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's crazy.
Final question.
Yes, that's so funny.
Where can people find you? They've liked the conversations they heard. Where can they hear more music, see some dancing? And...
Yes. My dancing mainly is on my Instagram at Katrina Manor. KATRINA Manor. I misspelled that at the LA Open. And they were like, we don't know where you are. I was like, I'll do it again. I'm sorry. But yes, Katrina Manor everywhere. I actually just released a summer tune called Artimba about breaking the status quo and being a rebel. Enjoy. And it's an Afrobeat. Enjoy. Yeah. I think I'm everywhere. And if I'm not everywhere, stay tuned, because I will be.
Cool.
This is so much fun.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
I'm Shane Kenny Comedy on all social media. I will be at Anime Expo this year in Los Angeles, July 3rd through 6th, interviewing people, hanging out, doing some cosplay shenanigans. Look for me. I will be dressed as the 4th Hokage. And that is it. Y'all been listening to SewBro. I'll see you on the next one. Slan.
Bye.